Even in recent times, computing power and capabilities have come a long way, but it's become something we seem to have grown complacent with. In science, computing is a tool as much as any spanner or screwdriver. Nobody looks at a desk and immediately thinks of the hammer that made it, and nobody looks at the scientific paper and thinks of the computing power that got you those results. But the fact is, right now, we can't have the science we have today without these tools, and as our pursuits expand and move forward, we have to start being mindful of the costs. The difference between data centres and light bulbs, surprisingly there is a difference, is that the energy waste doesn't just come from the centre itself. The machinery in the servers can be as efficient as humanly possible. The issue is when you have a lot of powerful machines working in one place in one time, you're going to start feeling the heat. An average data centre can use 1 megawatt hour of energy, equivalent to almost 13,000 of these little bulbs, which is enough to fill 44 football pitches. However, this only takes into account the actual machinery. Extra energy is to go into keeping this technology running, mostly for cooling. As such, we have to start filling our stadium with fans. Power unit efficiency describes proportionally how much energy is to go into maintaining the centre. So an efficiency of 1.5 means our 1 megawatt data centre has to use 500,000 watts in cooling. More efficient centres can have an efficiency of 1.1, using only 100,000 watts, which doesn't feel like much variation until you realise it's the difference between almost 23,000 of these fans filling the stands, or less than 5,000. And the cooling itself isn't the only thing we need to think about. The software is just as important as the hardware. These fans will always be on, even when half the light bulbs are off. In the same way, the cooling will always be operating no matter how much work is being done. And inefficient code is just as wasteful as having those systems idle. They're using energy and resources that could be used for something a lot better. There are many options to get rid of the heat generated to keep the ratio low. For example, free cooling uses the atmosphere to transfer heat from the servers. But the facilitation of cooling will always cost something else, like an excess of water or money or time for installation. Like anything to do with power consumption, our next steps for innovation. Improving methods in cooling, in building machinery, in writing code to make everything as efficient as possible. Science isn't slowing down and our tools need to adapt. Right now, our most powerful tool is computing power. We just have to be mindful of the actual cost of that power. At the moment, renting out server space is calculated by just that, by the amount of computing power. But what if we shake things up a bit? What if instead you bill by electricity used? What if every project had a concrete cost of CO2 pumped into the atmosphere? Maybe you can plant enough trees to offset what you used. Maybe you can take another look at your software and make sure everything's working as smoothly as it possibly can. Whether connecting forward-thinking researchers in the study of dark energy or running calculations to improve cancer treatments, the limits of our technology informs the science we're capable of today. Maybe we should be paying attention to what that actually means.